So guys, welcome to the video. Today, I think I titled it Type of Japanese Girls Ranked on a Tier List from S to D based on dating or dateability. So this is what I have. This is my entire list, as you guys can see. I'm sure you guys can see my screen from S to D. Now, S ranking are basically all the girls that are, again, meant for quote unquote dating and marriage. And as it gets lower, it tends to be less good. Okay, less affectionate or less passionate in terms of the love. Depending on what you want, right? At the end of the day, this again, I want you guys to take this as a pre-warning that it is not true based on everything I say. It is a grain, like take it as a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, this is just my experience, my opinion. So please, please, for the love of God, do not generalize this understanding of all Japanese women or people in general that they are all like this. There's so many different types of people. And I feel like my own perspective is very narrow. So I feel like for you to understand this, just understand it's my contextual type of biasy that basically creates this understanding of like these girls are this way because I've seen them. But at the end of the day, you, the one that's watching this video, you must go out. You must talk to women. You must go to Japan. You must engage in parties, social events, etc. with these different types so you understand what I mean to create your own list. So, anyways, I'm going to dive in. So, the first type we have the serious type slash business type of girl. Now, where do I put this? I put it as a B ranking. The reason why I do this is because these are the type of girls, again, not saying it's, again, secluded to Japan, but I feel like I've seen enough women in terms of like Japanese women in like in Japan that I can conclude that this is sort of the thing that I see. They're always in some type of like suit most of the time. They tend to be very focused on one thing, and that one thing is their goal. If you do not match their goal, or if you do not basically get to their goal, or you don't help them get to their goal, or anything pertaining to their goal that's not their goal, aka you not being there for them, then this won't work. Unfortunately, this type of girl is like that's just who they are. Until they achieve their goal, and that's when their mindset starts to change. But in my opinion, they tend to be very serious about what they want, and they know what they want. And if you can't get them to where they want to go, or you can't help them in some type of way, just know dating them to marrying them would be very, very difficult. Not saying it's impossible, but it is quite difficult. Like you would probably have to be a very, very sharp guy, a very straightforward, a very like honest, like straight to the point type of guy to date this type of woman or to have this type of woman. If you aren't on the same level or above them, unfortunately, guys, it's not going to work. Next one, wholesome turned witch girl. This one I put at a C ranking in terms of like dating potential, right? Like again, if we go up to S, those are the best matches in terms of my experience. Um, this one is crazy. This one is the one that I recently dated that was a big mistake, but I feel like it's very important for you to understand it. So at the end of the day, right, like this one is like they're very wholesome. They're very kind in the first like 2 to 3 months, and then it gets very dangerous after 3 to 4 months. Because what I can tell you is that these girls they do like a whole 180 switch on you. I don't know what it is. Okay. They basically like they're very kind to you in the very beginning. They give you gifts. They get you food. They care about you to an extent. They see you after work, etc. Right? After a while, right? After 3 to 4 months, or let's say 6 months, give or take, right? What happens is that these girls will start in terms of, I just call them witches because I feel like they do some type of magical thing to their brain. And then what happens is that they start begging you for things. Like their behavior switches from I'm helping you, I'm supporting you to like I want this and this is only what I want. And it's a very selfish way to, to be in a relationship with someone. But they basically want you to again, it's either the three. So it's either going to be marriage, they want to get married very sooner and quicker, or second, they just really want kids, or third, they just want you to do something for them in terms of monetary gain. So like money, finances, etc. It's one of the three. I'm sure you've heard it, right? When you get married to a Japanese girl, you know how crazy they are. well, this is what I've experienced, and I could say it's true. It's true. They use you, and they're very selfish in terms of what they want. If it's not for the children, not for anybody else, for them or the children or the house or their well being, then your entire opinion does not matter, and that's exactly the type of girl that you probably don't want to date because they are quite risky and not a great investment. But again, to each their own. If you like that, you like that. Now I'll go to the next one. And one thing I want to mention is that all these girls, in my opinion, they do have some mommy and daddy issues because of this type of characteristic. But again, right, I'm generalizing. You don't want to generalize it too much, but this is just general truth in terms of what I've seen. So the next one is extreme exercise girl. I put a C ranking as well. It is crazy as well. I've met this type of girl as well in Japan, but I've also met them at the gym locally. They tend to be very, very serious. If you're the type of guy that likes very serious women, very like up front, straightforward, straight to the point. Again, very similar to the business type, but instead of chasing their like income in terms of a dream goal, they chase body perfection. So basically, they want to hit the abs, they want to do this, but because of this type of nature, right? They're very serious and they're very focused. Like it's very honorable, very respectful. But at the end of the day, it's I don't know. It depends on the person, right? But like if you're not very attracted to a very masculine type of woman, then this might not be for you. But like I'm saying, they tend to be very competitive as well. They tend to be the type of girls to be very like, hey, if it's not about me, then it shouldn't be about you either. As you can see, this theme, right? There's a very selfish theme here. You see that? See that type of behavior? You'll see this in most of the girls that we talk about today. So that one, right? They're very focused on their goal. They're very focused on achieving a good body fat percentage. They're very focused on becoming better. But like in terms of just for themselves, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. And if you can't compete with them on the same level in terms of sports, in terms of activity, physical fitness, just nope, you're not going to be in the same level as them, and therefore you're not going to be able to date them. And that's why I say, like, I put it on the C tier because it's not like they're good. Like they would be good and easy to talk to and like eventually become a date. But in terms of long term of an S tier of like marriage and long term dating, tends to be not that type of thing. And again, to each their own. Housewife. Now, I will preface. I have no previous experience with a housewife. I don't know any housewives like wives, but I know other people that have spoken about them. I've known other Japanese people, Japanese friends in Japan, have told me about this type of phenomenon, and it's true. It's a real thing. There's girls out there that literally want to be just a housewife. So I've ranked this like C tier in terms of dateability. Not saying like they're very bad per se, right? Because I genuinely don't know, but based on the perception of what other people have told me, is that again they tend to be that controlling type again. You see this theme, this selfish, controlling type, monetary gain. I want money, 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 finances, but also I don't want to do anything at all but stay home and clean the house and not get a job. You see that mentality? You see what I mean? So like you like if you're not financially very strong as a person, if you don't have that much money or you have nothing to offer to an extent, right? And you're not resourceful and you just have nothing to offer, right? At the end of the day, these types of girls, like these three, will bleed you to an extent. The income girl, like that girl, she can handle her own. Like she doesn't need you. That's the difference. She doesn't need you. These girls need you, but if you can't provide, then you're useless. And that housewife is that's sort of what I heard. And they just want to be a housewife. And I might be wrong in terms of traditionalism, but I think this is mainly a Eastern context or Confucius idea of the matriarchy or no patriarchy in terms of how women want to do their roles and men want to do their roles in terms of traditionalism. That might be the truth of this. I might be wrong, but that's what I've heard. So, anyways, the next one is Hookup Girl. Now, funny story. I'll give you a story, guys. Story time. So, thing is, I actually did meet one of these girls. I did presumptuously almost hooked up with her. But the thing is, I was only 19. She was like 20-ish something. She was like 24 or something. It was back in the day. I don't do this stuff anymore. I was like 19, 20-ish. I was in my young 20s, or not even my 20s. And I didn't know anything. But looking back on it, this girl, like, she looks exactly like the one in my photo, like in my example. She looks exactly like that. Her name was Kaoru. 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 That was her name. She was crazy. But these types of girls, they tend to be like, I think they have like some type of daddy issue, attachment issue. And again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't read girls. I don't read behavior. I'm a behavioralist, right? But like what I known is that this girl, Kaoru, that girl that I met, um, she was very like open to everything. And when I mean open, I mean any type of thing sexual. She was open to it. Anything that was like, making out to kissing to, the whole, what I'm talking about. I can't really talk about it on YouTube, but you know what I'm talking about. These type of girls tend to be only short term. Obviously, we know that. They tend to be only like a one night or 1, 2, 3 nights type of thing. They don't tend to last longer than a week. Those are the type of girls that you should. Again, it depends on the person. Like if you're the type of guy that doesn't want this and you want a marriage type of girl or honorable type of girl and respectful, then don't go for this. But if you're just having fun and just like chilling, then that might be for you. Now the next one, too pretty and serious girl. I give this like A rank tier or A rank tier in terms of like the reason why I put her there is because I actually genuinely know someone like this. Um, she is a she's amazing. Like you think that just because a Japanese person or Japanese girl or person, right, guy, doesn't matter. If they're very serious, they tend to be very serious all the time. If they're timid all the time. But it's not necessarily true. I feel like once you crack, again, I don't want to say that word, I don't say crack, but once you crack open their emotion, you sort of understand how they are and who they are as a person. They tend to be very loyal. They tend to be very honorable. They tend to be very respectful. They tend to be the type of girl to respect you for who you are. And those are the type of girls that you probably want to date. Those are the type of girls that you probably want to be in a long term relationship with or you want to be married to. So just understand that just because they have this face, I'm sure you've seen RBF. They have that face, and you think that they're very rude, they're very mean, and they look very mean, and they look like you can't converse with them. They're just like timid all the time. It's not true. Like actually break the ice and actually talk to them. They tend to be the kindest people you ever meet. And yeah, that's why I put her as A tier in terms of dateability. And personality wise, again, they can be a little dry, but once you open them up, it tends to be a little bit easier. Next one, it's the Gaijin Hunter. So only likes foreigners for English. Now again, I will say, I will preface, I don't have that much experience with Gaijin Hunters because Gaijin Hunters, they tend to only go for like foreigners that are foreigners. So what I'm talking about is that I'm a foreigner, but the thing is I'm Asian. They go for foreigners that are like white, black, again, European, American. Like you have the, again, I don't want to be like generalizing all of you, but like you're white or black. That's how Japan sees it. So like when I mean foreigner, I mean that. So I've heard from other people. I personally don't know, but what other people have told me is the fact that these girls will only stay surface level most of the time. They won't go any like. There's no depth in terms of who they are. There's no depth in the conversation. Like I'm sure you've had relationships and conversations or friendships with people where they're very deep. They know who you are. They know how you feel. It's sort of like they like you for who you are. These girls are the opposite. They don't really like you for who you are. They like you for what you can do for them, aka teach them English. So if you can teach them English and you're good at speaking English, right? Because you must be good at English. I mean, you're born in America or Europe or somewhere that speaks English, right? And they've never spoken English in their life except probably at school, but even at school they don't speak. So think about that. So they will only date you for what you do for them in terms of benefits, not exactly of like liking you for as a person. They don't like you as a person. Like you guys might like have like a one night stand or like anything sexual of that nature. It will happen between you and them, but just know they don't really care about you. They don't really like you. Just because they want to do that with you doesn't mean they like you, because they don't like you for who you are. They're not willing to sit there and listen to your entire conversation of your life. They might act like they do, but they don't. So that's like another one. So I think like what I've named out so far, right? There's like one, two, um, let's see, three. I think there's like these three types: the wholesome, to witch, the housewife, and the gaijin hunter. All these three are very like. I don't think they're generalized to the Western population. It's more generalized to the Eastern and Japanese population. Again, I might be wrong, but yeah. Next one, too cute girl, idol ish type of girl. I'm just gonna put her at C. I'll preface I actually don't know anyone that has dated this type of girl. I also genuinely have never dated this type of girl. I've only been in conversation with them. So, like, I will go to a party or I go to, like, I don't go to clubs, but I go to bars, right? I've been in conversation with these types of girls. And what I will say is that they're not the, like, imagine someone, you're talking to someone, but, like, they try to act cute all the time. They don't really have any type of strong presence or personality about them. That's sort of what you see with them. Not saying that all of them are like that, but like what I've seen so far based on my perception and what I've seen in terms of experiences, that's what I've noticed. And again, this might be very particular to Japan because this is like the idol group, the K-pop groups, the anime, cosplay groups. Like it goes within that area, so it's like in that zone. So unless you're in that zone, I feel like you won't really understand. So also another thing, because they're more idol, cute type girls, right? They tend to only, in my opinion, of what I've seen, I might be wrong, but it seems like they only like guys that are also on the same level in terms of like, hey, I like anime stuff, I like doing this, I like cosplaying, etc., etc., etc. It's like if you don't follow that, then it's very hard. So it's like a hobby based type of dating lifestyle liking thing. So like if you don't have that, then too bad. But anyways, that's just based on what I know. Again, I might be wrong. Next one, casual party girl. I actually give this a rank. Nothing has been on S yet, as you can see. But casual party girl, in my opinion, I've met some. They're actually very down to earth, surprisingly. Very kind, very down to earth. I don't know if they're like fully respectful or honorable in terms of like marriage type, but they're up there because like they're the type of girls that are like either in the club or the bar or the party. They don't really drink too much where they go drunk, but they drink enough where they're likable and sociable. You know what I mean? They're like in that bubble, in that range where they're not too like crazy that you don't like them, and they're not trying, and it seems like they're actually a little bit likable. Basically, like they're very humble in terms of who they are. They're very modest. They don't drink a lot, but they do drink. If that makes sense. And because of that, right? They party sometimes, but they're able to let loose, but they're able to conserve or reserve themselves. And because of that balance, I feel like that's what's very attractive about them. But again, this is what I've seen. This is what I've noticed. And these types of girls, after like this is the type of girl that you see at the end of the party after you guys are all done drinking and you guys just sit there and you have a conversation like late in the night. And it's just you and her having a conversation. Like that's that type of girl, and that's what I'm talking about. They're not crazy, but they do drink, but they're not that crazy, and they know when to stop, and they have like some level of self control. Next one is the fashion slash bougie type of girl. This one I give it a B rank tier because I feel like if we really compare, right, the serious slash business type girl mixing with the fashion bougie type girl, the thing that we see here in terms of similarities is a standard. Like what you see below here, in my opinion, they don't really have a standard of who they want and what they want. They know what they want in terms of like material and financial and lifestyle gain, but they don't really have that like gain in terms of the person. This one, they're like in terms of B ranking, they have a level of desire and standards for who they are, more so in terms of goals and lifestyle of what they want in their life. So what I'm saying is purpose versus someone without a purpose. So these girls, they tend to have a standard that's very high. And the reason why I put them at B, like fashion girl, aka fashion girl, is because, at the end of the day, if someone dresses very nicely, right, she would want someone that's basically either on the same level or above them. And you'll understand this. So like with her, right, I feel like if you're not dressing decent or you're not at least on her level of quote unquote bouginess, not saying it's always true, but if you can reach that level, it makes you more attractive to her because she feels more familiar with you, if that makes sense. So like you basically like with her, right? She has high standards like the serious girl in terms of like or business type girl. They have like some type of goal and objective in their life. They're not just there to live like these other girls. Not saying they all are like that, but again, right? Next one, obese girl to skinny girl. I put that at S rank, my first S rank thus far. Super important for you to catch on with this type of woman. Um, I've met one, and she was amazing. So when I'm talking about obese girls too skinny, that's literally what I mean. So like they've been through the stages of problems in their life. You know, they know what it's like to be ridiculed. They know what it's like to not feel the way you feel. They know what it's like to be valueless or have no value. Because I feel like men nowadays they don't really have a level of value, right? So for you to be valuable, respected, or honorable, right, you have to do things that are hard. And what they've done is that they've transformed themselves from basically quote unquote looking chopped to looking very pretty and very skinny and very elegant. And that takes a lot of work. Character. So what you'll see is that like with the themes that I'm coming along here with is that if we go down below like after before A, so if we go B, C, D, they tend to only retain selfish values for themselves in terms of materialistic gain or their own purpose to an extent. They only do things for themselves and not for you. The ones that you see that in terms of behavior that are very honorable, very respectful, they tend to have like again, they tend to have some character about them in terms of behavior that makes them very attractive in terms of dating and in terms of marriage. Again, this is my list. So the next one is the annoying girl slash complainer. I met this type of girl at a party once. She was very annoying, as by the title, right? The annoying girl slash complainer. Well, yeah, I mean, what could I say? She, she's very rich. That's the first thing you have to understand. These girls are very rich. That's why they're very annoying. They have no real conversation with you. They don't really have any substance. Um, they talk always about themselves. They complain about every small issue. So like if I give you an example of like if you're sitting beside them, and they don't like the way that you're sitting, they'll just fix you. They're just like, hey, can you not put your leg there if you have your leg like cross-legged, right? Or if the way that you're drinking water, they're like, oh, that cup looks very dirty, you should change it. Like all these little small minute details, they pick you apart and they become very annoying. And then the other thing is that they tend to talk about themselves a lot. They tend to talk about what school they go to. They tend to talk about which area in Japan they're from. They tend to tell you exactly what neighborhood they're from. They tend to tell you what type of food they usually eat. Like I don't care, but they just tell you all these things. And then they talk about how they're better than you to an extent of everything. Um, and then if you talk about yourself to an extent, it has to be something to do with them. If it has nothing to do with them, they don't really care. It's like if you say like you like this type of fruit, they'll be like, well, I like strawberries. You see what I mean? Like they only talk about themselves, and that's why I find these girls very annoying, and they complain a lot. And you'll see this like if you meet it, then you'll know. And if you don't meet it, well, that's actually a good thing. But if you do, just see it. Westernized Japanese girls. Now put this as C ranking. These type of girls tend to be like very, very jaded. The best word to describe it is that they're jaded by Western ideals. So if you understand Eastern philosophy, Confucianism, right, to an extent, and you understand harmony, right? Westernized girls, in terms of Japanese Westernized girls, they have it to an extent, but they like most of the time they're trying to speak Japanese, but they can't, or they can speak Japanese, but they know themselves are not fully Japanese, so they feel like second generation. If you know the word Nikkei, it's like second generation type of stuff. So that's sort of what I'm talking about with Westernized Japanese girls. They tend to be that type of way. They tend to be very jaded. The best way I would describe it is that they have such a Western thought process about you that even if you play game, or if you talk to them, or if you want to do all these things, right? They already know what you're doing, and because of it, I mean, in terms of long term dateability, it depends on what you want, right? If you're planning to move and live in Japan, Again, they might do it with you, but some might not want to do it with you, and they might stay in the U.S. So if your goal is to marry and like date long term, then I don't know. I haven't dated personally, but this is what I've heard. Okay, so this is called the MILFy or MILF, or again, instead of a derogatory term, a woman that's older than you, right? Like a cougar. For I think that's for well, they're called a cougar. They call themselves cougars, but we call them quote unquote MILFs, right? So this one is C tier again. Nothing really special. Story time again. This one I have. I don't think I've dated them, but I was with them for a short time period, 6 to 9 months. This I don't know what to talk about with this one. Like they really enjoy sexual activities. That's all I'll say. Like they don't like these type of girls are not the type of girls I want to date long term. I will put it out there. They are not the type of girls to marry or date long term if you're younger than them. So you see this pattern, guys. It's like very selfish, right? So that's what I've seen. There are some in Japan. I swear, older women dating younger guys. Very normal thing in Japan. Next one is marriage girl slash pure girl. This one, as you can see, I put on S rank. I do give it a quite high score. I have met one of these types of girls, surprisingly, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. They tend to be very very wholesome. By the name pure, right? They tend to be very. They don't play these games. They don't like take long to text you. They don't play these games of like mommy and daddy issues. They don't play these games of like, I want this thing, I want that thing. These girls just tend to exist just to exist. Like they are there not for only themselves, but they're there for you as well. So they actually care about you. At the same time, they also care about themselves and their purpose in their life. So to an extent, these girls are also very respectful. They tend, again, I might be generalizing, but they tend to be from the countryside. So if you guys ever go to Fukuoka, go to anywhere like in the farmer land, Nagano, like countryside regions of Japan, Fukui, or you go to Kyushu, somewhere around Kyushu, these do exist. They do live like, again, very stereotypical of me to say, but they tend to usually grow their own like fruits, vegetables, etc. They have their own farm. They do their own thing. And because of that, that is what makes this girl very pure. And again, not saying being impure is improper, okay? But in terms of experience and what you want, in terms of like dateability and what you want as a person, and this is just based on my opinion, right? If you want someone honorable, respectful, marriage type, deal breaker, etc., whatever you call that long term partner, this is the type of context I put them in. The last one, this one's pretty obvious. Party till I am drunk, girl. We all know where this one goes. It goes in D ranking, and we obviously know why. I mean, no self control, no regulation of who they are to an extent. Um, and we can also blame other circumstances in their life that cause that problem. But at the end of the day, I don't believe in circumstances. I don't believe in all these other things that are out of our control. Because at the end of the day, your problems are your own problems, right? You fix them yourselves. You don't blame other people. You blame yourself because you just don't have built the ability to fix it, right? All you have to do is go learn that ability and that skill. So this type of girl, yeah, it's pretty obvious, right? They just don't know who they are and what they want. They're very lost, and these girls, they're very similar to the hookup girl to an extent. They tend to just be there for the fun, but they're never there for the long term. So that's it, guys. This is my entire list from S to D, I guess. Yeah, S to D. I will say it again. This is just my experiences. This is just pertained to what I know and what I understand and my bias to what I like and what I find attractive. But I put it as general as I possibly can in terms of an objective standpoint of like, what do most people want, right? They want someone that's kind, they want someone that's very firm to an extent of purpose of who they are. They sort of want some type of long term dating type of situation, or they want like marriage. One of those 3 to 4 things or 5 things. That's usually what people want, and because of that, that's sort of the way that I've adjusted this based on what I see and what other people may want to see. But again, You might like this in a different way. You will rearrange this in your own ranking, but this is what I've seen and this is my experience. So please take everything in this video with a grain of salt. Please don't take it for word. Please do not generalize everything because it's not true. So anyways, this is the end of the video. If you have any comments, comment below. If you like this video, like it. If you dislike it, then dislike it. It is what it is. Anyway, subscribe and take care, guys.